Now I'd like to ask Moment Board member Bert Foer and his family to come up and join us here on the stage. Bert, if you could sit here in the seat of honor. And Tamara Handelsman, who is another wonderful board member. Where's Esther? Yeah. Is Esther coming up too? Where? There she is. Okay. Tamara? No, Tamara, you come up here. Okay.
I'll try.
So you can start reading right here.
I have it right here. Hi. Tonight we're honoring Bert Foer, a longtime board member. We're honoring him in behalf of his work for Moment magazine. Bert helped Nadine when she took over Moment in 2004, and ever since has been by her side with wise advice and very good ideas. He has been invaluable in shaping the future of Moment. Bert Foer is president and founder of the American Antitrust Institute. He has served as the president of the ACLU of the National Capital Area and is co-founder of the Washington Associates of Ben-Gurion University. He is the husband of Esther Safran Foer, another Moment magazine board member. And she has been, in her own right, the energizing force behind Sixth and I. Bert is the father of Franklin Foer, Jonathan Safran Foer, and Joshua Foer. The Foers are members of this very congregation, Adas Israel, as are my husband and I, which is very nice. I am delighted that Bert and Esther's three sons are with us this evening to present a short tribute to their dad.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm the middle four. So my brothers and I had prepared some pretty extensive remarks for tonight, I think structured in a pretty interesting, lively way, and they were really, really, really touching, quite emotional, and also very funny. And I think that they scratched at what is exceptional about my father and why he is a human being very much worth celebrating. We are not going to give those remarks tonight. We were rehearsing in our house about an hour and a half ago, this document actually, which is face down on the podium. And as we reached the end of it, and it was this emotional climax, Frank turned and said, "Guys, how are we going to make sure we don't laugh when we're doing this?" And he asked it for a very good reason, because we have a history of laughing together. The last time that the three of us ever shared a stage, believe it or not, was 17 years ago. And believe it or not, it was this stage. It was Josh's bar mitzvah. And Josh chanted Torah beautifully, or as far as we could tell. Being conservative Jews, we had no idea what he was saying or if it was right or wrong. And Frank and I came up to chant Ashrei with him. Now, for anybody who's ever chanted Ashrei, you know that there's nothing funny about Ashrei. It's a Jewish recitation. I still don't even know what it means. But the three of us together found it very funny. And we started gently chuckling, and then it took on its own momentum, and we started laughing. And for any of you who have ever laughed on the Bima, you know that it's very hard to stop once you start. And Cantor Singer, who I'm virtually positive is not in the audience tonight, said to us, "Zip it up, boys." a flagrant sexual double entendre, which sent us into the stratosphere. Now, to his infinite credit, Josh was able to finish the ashrei. But then there was the matter of stepping down from the bima. As you see, there are 3 very long steps to get up here. And this was an important occasion, not only because it was a momentous rite of passage for Josh, but we had relatives from like 25 countries who had come to be there. The intimidating Israeli cousins were there. My parents' friends were there. Business associates were there. And as we were walking down the steps, I thought, I really wonder how my dad is going to react to what just happened. There were a lot of ways he could have chosen to react. He could have said his own version of "Zip it up, boys." He could have given us stern looks. He could have given us a silent treatment. He could have given us a lecture. But instead, he gave a kind of wry smile, and he patted me on the back. And I've thought about that a lot, and my brothers and I have thought about that a lot. And we've convinced ourselves that that smile and that pat contained an awful lot of meaning, which my younger brother Josh will now unpack.
I was wondering why I was so nervous about this tonight, but I was truly revisiting the scene of the crime. I think that actually that moment that at the bottom of the bima says a lot about my father, not just the kind of father he is, always supportive but never pushing, but also about his relationship to religion. And he's here tonight being honored for his years of service, of uncompensated service, to Moment Magazine. And he's certainly involved in lots of Jewish institutions, but he is only by the most generous stretch of the definition a religious person. But there are many ways to express what religion expresses, and I think for my father the essential spiritual act has always been laughter. And all of the salient memories of my childhood, most of the salient memories of my childhood, are of laughing with my father and my brothers, usually at my father. Sometimes my mother would join in. And there are really 2 kinds of humor that could have been present in that moment at the bottom of the bima. There's a kind of humor that pushes down, that distances, and there's a kind of humor that elevates, that draws near, that is capable of making the profane holy. And that's really the kind of humor that you've taught us, or tried to teach us, and it's, I think, the greatest gift you've given us. It's a way of moving through the world and laughing at its profound strangeness, and doing it, laughing as a kind of act of humility, and as a way of expressing one's sense of wonder at the world. So thank you for that.
Yidaber P. I mean, it's a laugh line. I was with my father and my 2 daughters, who are 7 and 5, the other day, and we were with a woman who was profoundly unself-aware of her audience, and she began telling us a story, a really good story, and she got into it. And she just started dropping F-bombs. I mean, it was like she was like an insurgent with an IAD. They were just like all over the place. And my response as a father was to cup my hands over their ears to shut out this stream of profanity. And as I went to kind of metaphorically do this and try to shut down or to tone down the profanity, my father gave me an extremely nasty look. And afterwards, he came up to me and he said, I didn't raise my son to curse like Richard Nixon, and I didn't raise my grandchildren to curse like Richard Nixon. And I'd rather them curse well and know how to curse so that they can curse well, rather than, and to me, this was a very beautiful sentiment. I mean, his attitude is, I won't drop an F-bomb, but that we live in a vulgar world, and we live in an imperfect world, and there's one response to it, which would be to cup the ears and shut out those sentiments. And then there's another attitude, which is to appreciate the world as it exists, to enjoy the most vulgar parts, to see the better side of those parts, to approach the world with a sense of optimism, curiosity, and engagement. And I guess you probably do need a sense of humor if you're going to engage with the commitment, the depth of commitment that you've engaged with Judaism and Jewish institutions, despite your profound annoyance with Judaism and Jewish institutions. He is the most anti-clerical member of the synagogue to ever chair the personnel committee. But the three of us, Josh just became a father. And so all three of us, yes, laugh. No, mazel tov. The three of us now have the opportunity to consider just how hard it is to do what you do, and just how lucky we were to have been enveloped in your sense of curiosity, your integrity, your laughter, and your love. So thank you.
They're always a hard act to follow, When Nadine asked me if I would take one for the team by subjecting myself to these kinds of indignities, I said, sure. Everybody wants their 15 minutes of celebrity. And Nadine said, well, I was thinking about 45 seconds. So that does not give me time to comment on anything that you just heard. I would love to, but it would take much too long. I can say special thank you very quickly to my family and to Esther, to all the relatives and friends, many friends who are here. It's just wonderful to see you and that you would turn out for Moment Magazine. I want to thank, of course, Nadine, who has been a good friend and a spectacular editor and publisher of what I think is a truly important magazine. It's been a great privilege to work with her and her team, who work under very strenuous circumstances. They work hard, and they don't have a real easy life in what they do. They do it because they love it, and they're getting a lot of pleasure out of the product, as I hope many of you do. I want to go back just for a second into the history of my involvement. Herschel Shanks was the owner at the time when I first got involved, and Herschel asked me to create an advisory board that could work with him. He had 5 publications, one of which was Moment. The others mostly dealt with archaeology and biblical archaeology, Bible review, and later, over the unanimous advice of his advisory board, opened one called Archaeological Odyssey. The group that was giving him this advice included the late Warren Dennis, who was our chair, and Harry Linnos, who is here, and Randy Levitt. Is Randy here? And for about 10 or 11 years, we met and gave advice. And sometimes it was followed, often it wasn't. And then the magazine was sold to Nadine. And I was privileged to begin working with her and to watch the tremendous improvement. It was a good magazine before, but with Nadine's work and imagination and the staff she put together, it became better, and it gets better every issue. There's a great group of people working on the advisory, the much larger advisory board. I guess we call it the board of directors now, but we're not really directors. It's Nadine's show. And so I want to thank you all for coming out tonight and urge you to support this very valuable magazine. It really fills a niche that nobody else fills, and we need it more than ever. So thank you all, and thank you guys. You weren't too bad.